going on, everybody? Welcome back to another exciting edition of Sports Overtime Now. This is episode 2, Sports League 9. Tony Reese, joined by my partner in crime, Drew Pavon. Drew, a lot of topics today, but we're mainly just going to focus in on what's happening on the plains.
Oh, yeah.
Fifth practice officially in the books for this spring for the Auburn Tigers, and you've been following them for a couple weeks now. Just kind of, what are you seeing?
I see a lot different of a vibe from, practice when we covered Hugh Freeze over the past couple of years, and I know you were out there for his early days on, and those Harsin change, it was like, hey, we're better, like things are getting changed. It's a night and day difference. The music, the energy, I think it glows immediately when you look at Byron Brown. He's the quarterback. He's a senior transferring in from South Florida. He was Alex Golish's guy there. He coming in from Tampa to Auburn. Like this guy, he's a vocal leader. He's high energy. When they go through warm-ups, I think I see maybe 20 coaches come up, hug him, dap him up. Like he's high energy. I like what they just bring. It's fast-paced. They go a little long on practice, which was different. Just fast-paced, like live consistently. They're switching drills in and out. And talking to Jeremiah Cobb, starting running back, one of the only 2 returning offensive players that are projected to be starters for Auburn this year. That's the big thing he's on, is like, hey, like we're just live. Like we're fast-paced, we're rolling through. So that's a big aspect of it, of just like what Golish brings to it and what he's doing during practice. We talked about in the episode last week, like he's running all over the place, like he's in the middle of linebacker drills, and seeing that again today, and talking a little bit about with him earlier in the week. He's like just in the middle of like tight end like conversation, like he's just all around. And you mentioned pro day, that was earlier in the week, and we got to talk to Keldrick Falk, who we'll hear from a little later. He was like being here, just training on some off days. He's like, you don't have to meet Golish in his office. Like this dude is in the training room, like he's in the locker room talking to players, like constantly just immersing himself in what is Auburn. And I think that's a great thing to see from a head coach stepping into that spot. And it's been cool to see how like this is just developed in the chemistry of like the transfers, because you get 10 guys from USF and a bunch of other transfers from different other schools, and adding them to the mix of the guys at Auburn that decided to stay, and the chemistry is already being built. I'm just curious to see how it's going to, unfold over the next couple weeks, and then we'll get to see them play live 11 on 11 at A-Day.
Drew, I can't agree with you more. We talk about, man, just the dynamic culture that people know Auburn football in the past has been it's been lacking in recent years. You talk about now being on that third coaching change, starting back with Brian Harsin, going into the Hugh Freeze era, and now this Alex Golish. A lot of people are hoping that he's the spark that can actually get Auburn back on their winning ways.
Yeah.
You talk about a lot of the energy. I've been listening to you talk about, and just listening to this post-game sound or pre-practice sound, as well as just what I'm seeing out of highlights. And you can tell this team is a little different, like completely.
Yeah, vibes are changed. Yeah.
Bringing back more Auburn alums. They're trying to come back in. People feeling more comfortable coming back to these practices, just watching what they have to do. And I think A-Day is definitely going to be that first taste to see exactly how things go. And you mentioned it, going back to Pro Day, man. I know there were several key guys that we were looking out for, but Keldrick Falk is definitely one of those high demand guys. Many people feel he'll be the first one to actually go in the first round since 2020 back when.
Yeah, we were talking about that.
So really curious to see kind of what he did. I think he had a lot of great sound. Let's go ahead and listen to some of that now.
Absolutely.
I ain't even thought about it, but it do feel unreal though. Me and my brother sat there and was talking about it 2 nights ago. What we would do and like what we would think. Just to be a flood of emotion. Like I worked extremely hard to where I am now, and man, just that night to be like the first step of like showing like this is how much I work, and then from that point, it's pushing my body to another limit and pushing my skill level to another level.
So we just heard from Keldrick Falk, projected first-round draft pick, and like we were just talking about, Auburn hasn't had a first-round pick since 2020. That was Derek Brown going top 10 to Panthers, and I've seen Falk go in projections-wise anywhere from like 8 to 35. He's could probably be leaning to that mid to late first round is what I was hearing, but he impressed a lot. And the big question was, he did positional drills at the combine, but he didn't run the 40. So everyone was talking about, okay, like, his numbers weren't the best his junior year at Auburn, but like the dude was a captain, like he's vocal, he's a great kid. just to be around a program, but I think people wanted to see, okay, like this dude's an athlete. Like he can be, run that 4.6, like 4.7 time frame at that size, and he ran a 4.67, which was remarkable to see. Like that's a great time for him, especially an edge rusher. Like he can set the edge, but he can also run, contain, and handle what the NFL throws at him, and he's got the right mentality. Went to Highland Home, stayed close to home to go to Auburn, stuck with Auburn for 3 years, which I think speaks a lot in volumes of the modern day of college football now. But really impressive to see him. Kerryon Crawford was one that, Kerryon Crawford for sure. I don't think he ran the 40, but positional drills wise, like hearing the NFL scouts talking about him, like they're very impressed with him, and he's a guy that's shooting up draft boards right now. Like he's going to be a second-round pick. And also crazy story about him, like he didn't play football till he was a senior in high school.
Oh, no.
Ends up at Auburn, sits behind a lot of good talent and learns from them and continues to grow. And now he's projecting a second-round pick, and he has the talent and the makeup and that size where you just look at him like this dude can be an edge rusher in the NFL. So Falk, obviously going to be a first-round pick, but Kerryon Crawford, I think, is going to jump up people's draft boards and be day 2 pick, and people are going to be like, whoa, Kerryon's getting some notice, and it's going to be interesting to see him kind of unravel. One thing for Pro Day, which was interesting, we got the participants list a couple days in advance. Chris Murray was on that list. Chris Murray wasn't there, and then news broke that Chris Murray got his extra year of eligibility to stay at Auburn, and I actually got to talk to him at practice today as well. And he was just like, one of the first questions off the board with him was like, Chris, like, how you doing? We were supposed to talk to you at Pro Day. And it's crazy, hearing in the program now, like, he didn't even have a number today, and his number's now taken by one of the changes. So I'm curious to see what number Chris Murray is going to be, because he wore 3 last year. So we'll see what number he wears, but that's a huge get for Auburn to bring back a veteran edge rusher, because you lose a Kerryon Crawford and you lose a Keldrick Falk. Having that experience, a guy who's been at TCU and been at Auburn, and coming back to continue that is big for the program and just the defense, especially with DJ Durkin.
Drew, I know this is going to be an exciting team to watch this season. Anything has to be better than 5-7 in recent years.
It has to be. I mean, it has to be.
NFL draft. It's coming up April 23rd in Pittsburgh. Hopefully, we'll see our guy Keldrick Falk called, as well as some other key guys from Alabama and Georgia. I know Ty Simpson's big on that board.
Yeah.
But A-Day is right around the corner. We know we're covering that extensively, so looking forward to seeing what this new goalish era officially kicks off.
I'm curious just about the offense, like 100%. What kind of scheme they're going to be running out there. And we know what it's going to look like with Byron Brown, who's he threw for 2,800 yards and 20-plus touchdowns, but it's the run attack that's going to be different. And I mentioned I spoke to Jeremiah Cobb today. Hearing him talk about it, like they loaded up that running back room. So they had Cobb, senior returner, 1,000-yard rusher, who was really the lone bright spot of that offense last year in a quarterback room that just couldn't find their groove and who their guy was going to be. So you get Cobb back, 1,000-yard rusher. Then you add 3 running back transfers who are all the top running backs at their programs. And then you still have Omar Mapson, who got in some decent reps, Auburn High, shout out, who he's getting a consistent amount of reps as well. And, of course, Alvin Henderson, who was the big recruit out of Elba. I mean, he broke the rushing record. And so it's a loaded backfield. And talking to people, they, expect balance with that group, around 3 to probably 4 backs in a game, which, it's a traditional NFL kind of style, it's just committee. But I think they're just, he said it, we're going to run the frickin' ball. I fully believe them to do that. Yeah, I love that, dude. Like, run the ball. And for a guy that, when he was the OC at Tennessee, they threw the ball a lot with that Hendon Hooker team, and 22. They threw the ball a lot, but Tennessee too. You think about their offensive scheme, they throw the ball. They're very wide open in how they spread out their formations, but they also have consistent 1,000-yard rushers. So think about that kind of offense. Not exactly the same. It's more the goalish twist and the staff that he's been able to bring along with it. So expect that running back room to be a bit more loaded. But Byron Brown, he rushed for 1,000 yards last year. So having that style of quarterback alongside those tailbacks, it's going to be fun to see.
You got to make me a believer believe
No,
it.
dude,
It's
he's
been some
and he's
time.
big too. He's
It's been
6'3",
some
he's
time, brother. I'm not gonna lie.
240. Very exciting quarterback, and I think he's got the stuff, regardless of what people say about his throwing motion. It is a little, it is a little odd, like the downwards arm. It's a little different, but you know, I'm excited to see what he's going to bring to the offense.
Drew, can't agree more, man. It's going to be an exciting time on the Plains. Hopefully, the season, like I said, anything's better than 5 and 7, 6 and 7.
Yeah.
But you know, this was just a little condensed version of our show. We're going to come back even better next week for episode 3. I want to go ahead and sit it off now. Thanks for tuning in with your boys for Sports Leader 9. We'll have more coming at you next week.